Coming up next on the Jeff Crilley Show, you're going to meet a prominent doctor here in DFW. She's out to help change the world in terms of mind, body, and spirit. You'll hear her amazing journey just ahead.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show.
All right, so if there's a knock on medicine in America, it's that doctors are too busy to actually spend time with the patient. I think the average time that you have with most family physicians is something like 7 minutes. It doesn't give you enough time to really get to the bottom of a problem, and so often many doctors are so busy they turn to the prescription pad and start writing prescriptions. And I think that's a bad way to do business. You actually need to know the root cause of what's ailing your patient. To talk about that today, a new friend, Dr. Shabana Parvez. She's a CEO of Arlington Integrative Medical Center. She's also got a great responsibility with the Rotary. She's the president of the Arlington Highlands Rotary. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you so much, Jeff. It's wonderful to be here.
Absolutely. Well, I'm so impressed with you because we were talking just before the show. You were an ER doc and a very successful ER doc, but you decided to make a change. Tell me why.
Mm-hmm. Well, there are a couple of reasons. One of the reasons was I saw so many failures of the healthcare system when I was in the emergency room. You know, people that shouldn't have been there, having their heart attacks, strokes, just wanting pain medicines, no other way to turn. And the ER has sometimes become a dumping ground, unfortunately, which is a lot of stress on the ER. But it really reflected a lot of the problems we had in our healthcare system. That's one reason I wanted to try to, say I need to prevent these people from even coming in here, know, and it's not just a prescription that does that. The other reason is actually I personally was very successful, as you said, very busy, ambitious, and then my body decided to say, no, that's enough. So I had like a little bit of a health crisis, and it wasn't really being addressed by traditional medicine and by any specialist I saw. But then really, I realized the power of nature. I realized the power of just a natural and Eastern healing methods. So I kind of understood that, started training in that, and realized once it made a huge difference in my own body. Lost 35 pounds, energy, and almost like reverse aging, and I was like, wow, I need to share this with more people. I mean, you can get healthy without being on medications, and, and so that's so those two things combined, it gave me that drive to, help address some of these issues before they became an emergency.
And I love it. And in Western medicine, in medical school, they don't teach you anything about Eastern medicine whatsoever.
No, not at all.
Okay. Well, so tell me more about your practice. What makes your practice unique?
Well, our practice, like you said, we don't spend 7 or 10 minutes with the patients. Our first visit usually is at least an hour with patients. We do a lot more comprehensive history. We look into other things besides lab and x-ray. We have to look at who you're living and where you're living, what toxins you're exposed to, what you're eating, how much you're sleeping, all of those things, because it's really like a much more holistic view of your health than just simply what a lab and x-ray would show, which is unfortunately what a lot of other doctors only focus on. If your lab and x-ray is normal, they say, well, you're fine. But most people know that they're not. So we take a lot more time with that. And then we evaluate from another perspective, which is everyone has individual body types too. And that's kind of like an Ayurvedic Chinese medicine type philosophy where you look at individuals based on their body types. And then that determines also what medicines or herbs might be good. And my practice is really primarily focused on avoiding invasive procedures, like surgery, pharmaceuticals, chemicals, or poisons. That's the last thing I'll go to, but I do whatever it needs to really empower the body to heal itself. So that might mean enough sleep, might mean the right nutrition, vitamins, supplements, herbs, other things, but it's not that is the first go-to is really fixing all your body systems and giving you the optimum way to be healthy.
I love what you're doing, and thank you for making a difference in the world. We're going to pull up her website, and as we scroll on the website, the thing that struck me is that you have so many different modes of healing. So talk about a few of the things that make your practice so successful.
Mm-hmm. One of the things I do is IV ozone therapy, which has it's amazing because it really adds more oxygen to each cell. It increases the ATP energy of each cell. There are a lot of things that ozone does, and I think you had mentioned about maybe like an amazing story from one of those.
Yes.
I had a patient that came to me who was very ill, kind of like feverish, abdominal pain, just looking very unwell. And she had ended up having like abnormal blood tests, a lot of inflammation. Her liver was really large, full of cysts. Looks like maybe something had infected in her intestines. It was inflamed. If she had gone to the emergency, she insisted on having a natural or holistic treatment with me. If she had gone to the emergency room, she would have been admitted for days and had like IV antibiotics for a long time. With me, I did the ozone treatments on her. We did ozone treatments, some vitamin C treatments, castor oil packs. In a few months, actually she got better very quickly and then continued to improve. So then when she had her repeat ultrasound, even the technologist was like, what did you do? You didn't have surgery? How did your liver shrink? How did all those cysts go down? And it was all natural. Wow. So anyway, so that's one of the things. Ozone therapy is a really big, and a lot of vitamin IVs, because a lot of times we're deficient and the food is not always, the best that we're eating.
We were visiting before the show, and you called yourself a healer, and I'm absolutely a fan of that. Do you feel like you have a sense when you meet somebody for the first time, you can tell if they look like their body's inflamed? You can say to yourself,
a lot of times,
I know probably what the problem is.
Yeah, I can tell a lot of times, yes, what is going on, like reading a little bit of the energy of the person and just looking at inflammation, because you can see it even like in the skin, skin, hair, nails, the health of a person that way as well. And like I said, so many of people that come with normal blood tests, which is a traditional blood test, that don't go much deeper. And then when we, look deeper into, their lifestyle, it really, you can see that there's a lot of issues wrong, and they know they don't feel well. So it's frustrating when they are told they're normal because of blood tests only. Right. But there's a lot more going on that doesn't come to the surface yet. So we try to get, like you said, the root cause.
Well, and I love it that you actually have walked more than a mile in your patient's shoes, because as you said, you are a very successful ER doc. You're seeing people after many times they made some poor choices, and you yourself were falling victim to some of those poor habits. So what were some of the things that you did to get well?
Okay, so one of the first things, so once I realized that I was eating the wrong things for my particular body types, one is understanding my body type, knowing what I should or shouldn't be eating, and trying really definitely optimizing my sleep. That made a big difference. Really, I think that was a bit hydrating better.
Sure.
And it was really just that body type, learning about that and really evaluating the things in my life from that holistic perspective. There are like 6 things I usually evaluate on people. What's the air, the environment they're in, how is the digestion, how is your detoxification from your body. You look at, are your bowels working? Are your kidneys working? Is your gut, are you digesting? Are you absorbing? What are you putting in? What are you eating and drinking? How much? When? I had a little more intermittent fasting also. I did some of that more. So I evaluated all those things and optimized all those parts in my own life. And so that was without any medications, and all the weight loss was without going to the gym and never counted calories. Wow. It's really about the quality of food. There's a lot that can be done without writing a prescription.
And if you think about the American diet, it's really horrible.
That's why we call it SAD. The standard American diet is sad, unfortunately.
It is sad. And my wife and I, over the last summer, we went to Europe, and we actually ate very generously, but neither of us gained weight. We were walking around. We were in Paris. Yeah. And so there's something about the food and how it's prepared in America.
Yeah, whether it's GMOs, pesticides, a lot of that, because in Europe, a lot of that is extremely regulated. So even if it's not labeled organic, it doesn't have a lot of the stuff that we have here, like the pesticides or the glyphosate or a genetic modification. So that does make a difference. And again, walking. They walk a lot more in Europe than we do because we're very comfortable in our large cars.
So you don't have to eat lettuce and cabbage. I mean, you can
Not
actually
every day, no.
you can actually have a,
Yes.
you can feel full and not gain
Right.
weight. Yeah.
Exactly.
Beautiful. We mentioned that she has many different modes of therapy. One that I found on one of her social media pages is cupping. So let's go ahead and roll this video.
Demonstration. First, we will do a little finger prick and check your blood count. Then we prep you with alcohol or some cleansing, a wet wipe. We use this vacuum gun and put the cups on just with a handheld vacuum for suction. And the cups are placed in the appropriate section. And then after all the cups are on, they let sit for a couple of minutes to get the skin swollen underneath. We don't let it sit too long so it doesn't bruise too much. And then after that, the cups are then removed one at a time and wiped off with your alcohol, iodine, or some antiseptic. And then a sterile scalpel is used to make very slight scratches on the skin under the cup. And then the cup is replaced and the suction is restarted. So we do this procedure and for all the cups that we've placed. And as you see, we can even do it over tattoos. It doesn't affect the tattoo. It will stay the same even after the skin is healed. I've said we wait a few minutes for the cups to fill. Maybe 5 minutes, 8 minutes, not much more than that, or 10 minutes. And then I carefully take that off and you can see the blood in the cups. Sometimes those are a little bit, just a few drops, sometimes a lot. Then we wipe off everything and put some oil on. Just olive oil, St. John's wort oil, sometimes black seed oil, and it will help the skin heal a lot faster. And as you can see, there's hardly any marks when we're done. And after this, we usually recommend that you keep it dry and don't take a shower for at least 4 hours and try not to soak for 24 hours.
That is fascinating to me, and this goes back centuries.
Yeah, it goes back thousands of years, actually.
No kidding.
It's from these are techniques developed in China and India and the Arab world. There are different versions of it. In the beginning, of course, they used to use horns, hollowed out horns, and the suction would be by your mouth, trying to suction and vacuum. But now, of course, we have a nice sterile disposable cups or a much more sterile way to do it.
Tell us the science.
Yep. So one of the things that the cups do, it's interesting when we, the suction itself, dry cupping is another option, which is good, but not as good as wet cupping. When there is suction, it actually, that stimulates more endorphins in the body. For some reason, the suction causes that. And so that's why people can even get some pain relief from that. Endorphins, which is our natural morphine. So it's a little pain relieving. When they have very tense muscles, especially the cups they increase the blood flow. They draw the blood flow up into the cup. Okay. And it almost causes like a mini inflammation inside the cup because the skin gets a little red and swollen.
Sure.
Then with the wet cupping, we make slight incisions there. The inflamed kind of blood that gets drawn to the surface comes out, and it comes out into the cup with a vacuum, with a natural suction there. And then it actually, like some of those inflammatory substances are like pain substances essentially.
Wow.
So, and those are removed.
Wow.
And then the other thing that it does is actually stimulates blood flow, because there are a lot of times we have stagnation of flow in the body. And when you do this, it actually helps the flow, not just of blood, but also of energy, because we are energetic beings. So some of the placement of the cups is similar to like acupuncture points might be along certain meridians, or where it would affect other organs inside the body, not just that physical, muscle. So people often, I've had them have blood pressure decrease right after, relief in pain, a lot of pain relief, especially, and even other things like anxiety or bowel function, a lot of improvements depending on where we place the cups.
Wow, I'm fascinated by you, and we only have like a 15, 20-minute show, so I want to move on to some other areas, because she's a serial entrepreneur, folks. She's probably invented 3 other companies since we were doing this interview. So I want to talk about Start Here, Go Anywhere, and we're going to put it up on the screen. So tell us about this program.
Yeah, so Start Here, Go Anywhere is the initiative from a company called Rise Back. And actually, my role in this is kind of like the team lead in the United States right now. Rise Back is currently based in India and going to be moving to Arlington soon. It is a affordable education platform. What it really is, though, it's to empower via education and help people elevate their economic status. With IT certifications as low as $250 for like a 6 to 12 week certification. And then once you get certified in this, now it's being taught by accredited universities and instructors in India, which is why we can keep it that cheap. And when you get that certification, we help you get employed. And after employment, this is where it becomes different from any other program, is that after employment, you can, if you get a scholarship, like I do now from the Rotary Club, my role in the Rotary Club is to help get scholarships for those who are in need. So we're partnering with Arlington Life Shelter, Metroplex Women's Clinic, and are open to partnering with any other charities that help kids, adults, veterans, anybody who needs to change their situation, a transition, who's underemployed, unemployed. If we have people that need scholarships, we will fund the education for them through the Rotary Club. But once they're done with that, they actually pay it back. So the scholarship is more of an interest-free loan. They pay back into the system, and then that can be used to fund somebody else. So really, you pay back to pay forward to fund somebody else. This way, it's not like any nonprofit, which is continually asking for donations. We want a sustainable recycling of money. And like I said, bachelor's degrees for $2,000.
Incredible.
Master's degree, like an MBA, for $1,000. So it's really affordable. It really helps address our student debt crisis.
Sure. So you're not only healing the mind, body, spirit, but you're actually helping open doors for people who might not be able to
give up economic opportunities and help, because we want to keep the talent here. We want to train our own people in in our country, in our neighborhoods.
Absolutely, and there's such a shortage of IT employees right now.
Exactly.
Anyway, so
and help out our companies.
So you mentioned the Rotary. I'm a huge fan of Rotary. I'm not currently a member, but I was a member for about 10 years in the Dallas area district. Tell us about Rotary and why you're so passionate.
Okay, I love Rotary because it is, again, people who come together to tackle challenges in their communities. You know, we try, every club has a different atmosphere, and because it's in a different area, and it's a mix of, professionals who want to give their time and their money to help a cause. So it's really, our particular Rotary Club actually has a focus on education. So we actually sponsor several schools, elementary educational schools, high school, middle school, and vocational institutions. So we are, I think because the focus on education, the focus on service, the focus on service above self, it really helps develop character in you, and it's about giving back. It's just all part of, like, my whole nature is to serve and help heal the community.
I love
heal your local neighborhood.
Have you always been this way as a little girl? Or were you the one?
I was always trying to help people. Wherever there was trouble, I usually run towards it as opposed to away from it. So I said, what can I do? Even when I'm traveling, like, I hear a crash and I'm in a hotel, I hear a crash and I'm in Turkey and I'm like, oh, what happened? It's like somebody literally fell through the glass. He fainted or something, and I'm rushing. Everyone thinks it's something else, like something blowing up. So they're running away and I'm like running towards.
Wow.
What happened? Can I help? Just may not be always smart, but anyway.
Well, your family must be tremendously proud of the difference that you're making on the planet. In the last minute, I want you to look into the camera on the left and talk to the person who is, I'm going to call them wired, tired. They know they're not healthy. They know they're, getting too much caffeine, and maybe they're winding down at the end of the day with a drink or 2 or 5. Talk to that person. Yeah,
there's unfortunately a lot of people like that, right? And what happens when you do that is you're just continually putting your body in this cycle of up, down, and what most of us really need in society now, especially professionals, executives, we need our bodies to be in what we call the parasympathetic state, which is a healing state, which is where your heart rate is lower, your blood pressure is lower. We in society live on the fast, go, always running. So we don't give our bodies time to heal. That downtime is really important. So instead of going in a cycle like that, really prioritizing your sleep is really important. And unfortunately, because we're so success-minded, we think sometimes sleep is a weakness, and it's not. Like, sleeping is important. You don't want to brag that, I only get 4 hours of sleep. That's probably going to catch up with you. So prioritize sleep, quality sleep more than just the quantity of sleep. There are ways to wind down without, say alcohol, because actually alcohol later on messes up the deeper sleep. You may think it puts you to sleep, but actually it messes up the quality of your sleep, so it's not as good. One way to wind down, Epsom salt baths. Magnesium is great, even just magnesium supplement. Epsom salts, which actually have magnesium, also a soaking bath. Everybody can create for themselves at least one ritual that speaks to them. Like some people write books, maybe read a book, something non-electronic. Put away the electronics for like an hour or two before bedtime. You know, if you absolutely have to use blue light blockers, but otherwise you want to do something to wind down before bedtime. It might be reading a book, classical music, candles, lavender essential oils, a bath, something that's ideally, like I said, non-electronic and speaks to you. Listen to music, read the Bible, whatever it is. Just give yourself some time to do that every day, and you'll see the difference at least, you know, not depend on substances to put you down and take you up, because that cycle will always change.
Beautiful.
So.
Well, thank you so much for lending your talents to the planet and making it a better place to live. We're going to end with her website, which is arlingtonintegrative.com. Doc, thanks for sharing your heart.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. It was
You bet.
wonderful.
That's it for now. We'll see you next time.